Hello, it's Peggy again. Let's continue our conversation on how to start off organized. Our goal in this module is to answer your questions about the business side of your food business. As well-known chef Wolfgang Puck has said, being a great chef today is not enough. You also have to be a great businessman. The same is true for your food business. The business needs to be as great as the food. So what steps should you take to organize and protect your business before you begin selling your food product? Think of it as 4 steps you can take to address your business needs. We began this module with a discussion of the first 2 steps, choosing your business entity and completing your legal startup requirements. Now let's focus on steps 3 and 4. The third step is insuring your business, and step 4 is assessing other license and permit needs. Insurance is a fantastic tool for managing liability risk. Insurance can prevent an unexpected incident from affecting your bottom line, or worse yet, from ruining your business. But think about your current insurance policy and your food business. Imagine a customer comes to your property to pick up the food product they ordered from you. If the customer trips over your dog and breaks an ankle, will your insurance cover the harm? Or if your food product makes the customer sick and hospitalization is required, will your insurance cover that? What if your food equipment gets too hot and starts a fire? Or a flood or electricity outage ruins your food product? Will your insurance policy cover those kinds of harms? I could go on, but I'm guessing you see the liability risks a food business creates, and it's probably more than you had considered. None of these scenarios are too far-fetched, and one or more of them could happen to you. If they do, don't make the mistake of assuming that you're covered by your current insurance. You probably aren't covered. That's because a homeowner's policy is not likely to include food business activities. And a general farm liability policy doesn't often cover direct marketing activities. And be aware that some insurance policies explicitly exclude certain business activities, like making and selling food, from their policy coverage. So it's common for food business activities to require specialized insurance coverage. That coverage could be an addition or a rider to your current insurance policy. Or it might require a separate policy with another insurance provider, because not all providers offer food business policies. So first, be sure your current insurance provider knows about all of your food business activities. Walk through everything you do, what you produce, where you produce it, where you store it, how you transport it, where you sell it, and who you sell it to. Then review your current policy with your provider to determine if or how it addresses your food business activities. There are typical provisions to look for, and these include home-based business activities, food product liability, business equipment damage, challenges to advertising claims, coverage while transporting products, storage of inventory, liability for customers on the property, and sales at farmers markets. If there is coverage in your current policy, is it a sufficient amount? Your provider may have information and insight into levels of adequate coverage for your particular situation. If there isn't coverage, what options are there to amend the current policy? And finally, what does a new separate food business policy offer you? If you're considering a new food business insurance policy, an easy way to find a provider is through word of mouth. Talk with other food businesses to learn who they're using and what type of coverage they have. General internet searches can also help. New insurance options and providers evolve constantly, and premium rates can vary from provider to provider, so your research can definitely pay off. With insurance behind us, let's move on to step 4, which is assessing other permits and licenses you may need for your food business. In the other video in this module, we reviewed a few licenses you may need for your business as part of your legal business startup requirements. But there might be other licenses or permits you'll need to obtain, and those will depend on what type of food product you plan to produce and where you want to produce and sell your product. Two other types of licensing and permitting requirements to consider are food licenses and zoning and building permits. Ohio's food licensing laws establish whether a license is necessary to produce, process, and sell a food product. Depending on what food you plan to produce and sell, you might need a home bakery license or a retail food establishment license, or you might need to have your product processed by a processor with a cannery license or a fully inspected processor. There are many different food license options that can come into play. Not all foods require a license, however, and our food licensing laws also include exemptions from licensing. For example, the Ohio Cottage Food Law allows you to produce and sell certain foods from your home without a food license. I'm not going to review the different licensing requirements in this video. The important point to understand now is the need to carefully assess whether your food product requires a food license so that you can take the necessary steps to obtain the license. Our other modules in this course will help you with your assessment. Those modules review the food licensing requirements for different food products, so make sure you work through those modules and determine whether you'll need any food licenses for your business. Food production and sales activities might also raise zoning and building permit needs. The questions to ask are these: does your local zoning allow you to engage in food production or sales activities in your home or on your farm? Will you need a zoning permit for the activity? Can you build or renovate a structure to house your food business? And if so, is a building permit necessary? The answers to these questions depend on your location and whether or not you are engaged in agricultural production. So let's discuss agriculture first. Those of you who live on a farm might be aware of the agricultural exemption from local zoning. This Ohio law prohibits a township or a county from using zoning regulations to prohibit agricultural activities. It does not apply within cities, villages, and towns. Outside of those municipalities, landowners may engage in most agricultural activities without being subject to local zoning provisions. So if you want to raise beef for a frozen meat sales business, you need not worry about the local zoning because Ohio law already allows you to do that agricultural activity. The agricultural exemption also allows you to process and market your agricultural products without local zoning regulation, with a few exceptions. And it exempts you from the requirement to obtain a building permit to construct a building that is directly related to agricultural production, such as a barn. And it also provides some exemptions for farm market buildings. The laws change, however, when we move a food business into a home. In that case, even if we are on a farm, we need to examine the local zoning regulations. Most often, you'll need to determine whether your zoning district allows you to conduct a home-based business or a home occupation. It's pretty common for zoning to allow certain types of home businesses. But some zoning regulations might contain requirements or restrictions, such as not allowing you to have a sign, prohibiting retail sales at the home, or providing a parking space for customers. You'll need to check the specific provisions for your property location. If you don't fit into your zoning provisions for a home-based business, you'll need to determine whether your food business fits into other permitted uses in your district. If your use is not a permitted use, you might have to obtain a conditional use permit for your business. So be sure to review those types of activities that can be conditional uses. The worst case scenario is when a food business is not permitted or is a prohibited use in your zoning district. In that case, you cannot conduct the activity unless you successfully obtain a rezoning that would allow it. If you want to build a new structure for your food business and it's not an agricultural building that would be exempt from zoning and building permit requirements, first determine whether zoning allows a new building on your property, and then determine what zoning and building permits apply to you. Contact your local zoning inspector and building department for answers to all of these questions. Also be aware that many communities now have their zoning resolutions and zoning maps available online, allowing you to identify your zoning district and to read the regulations that apply to your district. That's a quick overview of zoning and building permit laws. Hopefully, though, you now understand the importance of assessing which of these laws apply to you so that you can take the necessary steps to obtain the permits required for your food business. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope by now you have a good understanding of those 4 important steps necessary to starting off organized. Make sure you read through the written information provided in this module, as it will contain more details that can help you along your way to starting that successful food business.